Did you know some older parents give too much after retirement and end up full of regret? It often starts with good intentions, helping your adult child get on their feet, offering support out of love, or doing what seems normal in a family. But here's the hard truth. Once you retire, your energy, finances, and independence aren't as easily replenished as they once were. And giving away certain parts of your life, no matter how well-meaning, can quietly unravel the peace you worked decades to earn. In this video, we're going to walk through 7 things you should never hand over to your children after retirement. Not because you don't care, but because the cost to your health, autonomy, and future well-being is too high. And most importantly, because protecting these things doesn't make you selfish, it makes you wise. Stay with me through the end, because these 7 things could make the difference between a retirement filled with quiet resentment and one filled with freedom, dignity, and lasting connection. If you've ever wondered where the line should be drawn between support and self-sacrifice, this video is for you. Now let's get started. Number 1. Control over your financial decisions. One of the most dangerous things you can quietly hand over after retirement is control over your money. And yet many older adults do it without realizing what they've given up. Signing over authority to help a child manage bills, handle paperwork, or just take care of things while you rest. But what begins as a gesture of trust can slowly become a shift in power. And once it slips from your hands, it's incredibly hard to take back. It's not about distrust, it's about protection. Your financial decisions are tied directly to your freedom, where you live, what kind of care you can choose, even how you spend your final years, giving someone else full control. Even someone you love means handing them the steering wheel to your life. And no matter how close your relationship is, that imbalance can quietly lead to tension, overreach, or even financial abuse. I remember a man named Gerald, 77, who gave his son full access to his accounts because he hated dealing with online banking. At first it worked fine, but over time his son began making purchases without asking, small at first, then larger. I felt like a guest in my own finances. Gerald told me when he finally spoke up, his son said, "I thought you didn't care," and that hurt even more. The truth is, your money is more than numbers. It represents your effort, your boundaries, and your independence. You have every right to keep control over it, even if you ask for occasional help. And there's a big difference between someone assisting you with a task and someone taking over your decision-making. If you do need help, set clear limits. Use joint accounts sparingly. Keep records. Make sure you understand what's happening and why. And if something feels off, speak up. Your instincts are worth listening to, because after all the years you spent earning, saving, and managing your money, no one, not even your child, should get to decide what you do with it. That decision belongs to you, and keeping it in your hands is one of the strongest ways to protect your future. Number 2, your home or property before it's necessary. Giving your child your house or any property you own before it's truly necessary may seem like a generous move, but it's one of the riskiest decisions an older adult can make. You may think, they'll get it anyway someday, or it'll make things easier now. But what often happens is that you quietly surrender the very thing that keeps you safe, stable, and in control of your life. Your home isn't just a building, it's your anchor. It's the place where you decide who comes in when you rest, how you live, and when you go the moment you hand over legal ownership. Whether to avoid taxes, simplify, inheritance, or help your child financially. You also give up your rights, and depending on the laws in your state, getting them back could be impossible. I once spoke with a woman named Dorothy, 81, who transferred her home to her son after retiring. At the time, he had convinced her it would protect the house from future medical costs. But 2 years later, he divorced and her house became part of a legal battle. She couldn't stop. It didn't even feel like mine anymore. She said, "I just wanted peace. And I lost my peace trying to do the right thing." Even when relationships are loving and strong, circumstances change. Children lose jobs, get divorced, or run into debt. And if your home is in their name, their problems become yours. Because your shelter, your equity, and your ability to choose may no longer be protected. This isn't about mistrust, it's about foresight. Keep your name on the deed, talk to a legal advisor who understands elder law. Explore living trust or agreements that offer shared planning without giving up ownership. But never feel pressured to transfer your home just because someone else says it's time. You spent your life building that roof over your head, and keeping it under your name doesn't make you ungrateful or selfish. It makes you responsible for your safety, your future, and the independence you've earned. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 3, unlimited access to your time and energy. After retirement, your time becomes one of your most precious resources. And yet many older parents find themselves giving it away without limits, offering rides, running errands, babysitting, or always being on call for their adult children. What starts as love and support slowly turns into obligation, and before long, your days no longer feel like your own. There's nothing wrong with helping. The problem is when that help becomes expected rather than appreciated. When your availability becomes assumed, when your rest and rhythm are regularly disrupted because saying no feels like a betrayal. That's when the balance shifts and resentment quietly moves in. I remember a woman named Joyce, 76, who loved her daughter dearly and wanted to help with the grandkids, but as the months passed, she was picking them up from school 4 days a week, missing her book club, skipping her own doctor appointments, and falling asleep before dinner out of pure exhaustion. I retired to enjoy my life. She said, not to relive the same schedule I had at 40. Your energy after 70 is different. It needs protecting. You deserve rest, space, and time to do the things that nourish you without guilt. And while your children may genuinely need help, that doesn't mean your time is a bottomless soul. Well, clear boundaries are not a rejection of family. They're an act of self-respect. It's okay to say I can help on Tuesdays, but I need the rest of the week for myself. It's okay to reschedule. It's okay to protect your mornings, your quiet afternoons, or your weekend plans. You are not selfish for guarding your time. You are wise for recognizing that you have just as much right to it as anyone else. Because the truth is, when you constantly give your energy away, there's less left for the things that bring you joy, peace, and purpose. And retirement isn't just about filling other people's needs. It's about finally having the freedom to honor your own. Number 4, the role of emotional counselor or fixer. One of the hardest patterns to break as a parent is the instinct to solve your children's emotional problems, even when they're grown. You've spent a lifetime being their anchor, their listener, their shoulder to cry on. But in retirement, constantly absorbing their stress, fear, or disappointment can quietly wear you down. As you age, your emotional reserves become more precious. And when your adult children bring you every crisis, relationship, troubles, work, drama, financial panic, you may find yourself taking on weight that's no longer yours to carry. It's not that you don't care, it's that your nervous system wasn't built to be a 247 therapist. I once met a man named Howard, 78, whose son called almost daily to vent about his failing business. Howard listened, advised, even lent money. But over time, he began losing sleep, feeling helpless, and walking around with a knot in his chest. I started feeling like I was the one drowning, he said, and I wasn't even in the water. That's what can happen when you become your child's emotional emergency room. You absorb every alarm, every fear, every frustration without having a place to put your own. And the more you take in, the more depleted you become. You are allowed to listen without solving. You are allowed to say, that sounds hard. I hope you find a way through it. You are allowed to suggest therapy, support groups, or other resources that don't involve your constant emotional labor. Because in this season of life, your peace isn't a luxury, it's your medicine. And protecting it doesn't mean closing your heart. It means keeping your heart whole so you can offer love without losing yourself. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 5, direct responsibility for raising grandchildren. Many older adults step into the role of caretaker for their grandchildren with love and willingness, but taking on full or near full responsibility for raising them, especially in your retirement years, can quickly become more than your body, mind, or finances were meant to carry. What often begins as just helping out becomes an unspoken expectation, and suddenly your retirement is no longer your own. Caring for young children is physically demanding. It affects your sleep, your diet, your stress levels, and your ability to keep medical appointments or tend to your own needs, and emotionally, it can feel like being pulled back into a life stage you already lived once, when what you need now is rest, stability, and time to reflect and enjoy. I remember a woman named Linda, 73, who agreed to watch her toddler grandson just for the summer, but the months turned into years, and she found herself once again packing lunches, managing tantrums, and walking the floor at night when he had a cold. I love him with all my heart, she said, but I'm tired. I didn't realize how much I'd lose. The guilt is real, the love is real, but so is the cost. Raising children is a full-time job, and unless you've truly planned for it and chosen it freely, it can quietly erase your space to grieve, to travel, to rest, or even just to think your own thoughts. If your child is in a situation where they need support, explore other solutions. First, can help be shared among family? Can outside childcare be involved even part-time? Can you offer specific hours or days rather than being on call indefinitely? Boundaries are not rejection, they're clarity. You've spent decades caring for others, and while grandchildren are a deep joy, you are not required to start all over again in your 70s and 80s. It's okay to say, I'll love them, guide them, and support where I can, but I cannot raise them. That truth may be hard, but it may also be the healthiest decision for everyone involved. Number 6, your retirement savings or emergency funds. One of the most generous and most dangerous things you can give your child after retirement is access to the money you've spent your whole life building, whether it's dipping into your retirement savings to pay off their debt, covering their mortgage just for a while, or handing over cash during one of their emergencies. The effect is the same. You chip away at the very foundation meant to protect you. It's natural to want to help. It feels like love. It feels like support. But here's the part no one talks about. Once that money leaves your account, it rarely comes back. And if your health declines, your expenses rise, or something unexpected happens, the financial cushion you thought would be there may be gone. That's not just risky, that's dangerous. I once spoke with a man named Henry 80 who loaned his son nearly $30,000 over 5 years. It wasn't all at once, just small amounts here and there, first for car repairs, then credit card bills, then a business idea. I thought I was helping, Henry said, but I was emptying the tank I was supposed to retire on. And it's not just the money, it's the emotional toll of wondering whether you'll have enough for your future. The silent anxiety that creeps in every time you visit the pharmacy, the doctor, or open a bill. That stress alone can affect your sleep, your mood, and your quality of life. You are not a bad parent for saying, I need to protect my savings. You are not selfish for drawing a firm line between generosity and survival. Your children can rebuild their finances. You may not have the same window of time or health to rebuild yours. If you truly want to help, set a limit and stick to it. Offer guidance before offering money. Encourage them to explore loans, payment plans, or other support systems. And remember, preserving your financial independence isn't just for you. It ensures you won't have to rely on your children later, something many of them quietly fear just as much. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 6 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Number 7, decision-making. Power over your life. Plans after retirement. Your needs, routines, and priorities shift, and you deserve the freedom to make choices that reflect who you are now, not who others think you should be. But one of the most subtle ways older adults lose control is by allowing their adult children to start making decisions for them instead of with them. This doesn't usually happen overnight. It often begins with small suggestions. Why don't you move closer to us? You shouldn't drive anymore. It's time to downsize. And while some of these ideas may be offered with love, when repeated without listening to your needs, they start to feel more like directives than care. I once knew a woman named Elaine, 79, who moved out of her home to live near her daughter's family across the country. It made sense on paper, more help closer to grandkids, simpler living. But within 6 months, she felt like a stranger in her own life. It wasn't my town, my church, my doctor, or my friends. She said, I thought I was choosing connection, but I lost my place. Your life doesn't have to fit someone else's vision in order to be valid. You are still the author of your story, and just because your children have opinions or even worries, doesn't mean they get to dictate where or how you live, what you do with your time, or how you shape your final decades. That's not to say you shouldn't listen. It's wise to consider feedback, especially about safety or support, but decisions like where to live, what kind of care you want, or how much independence to maintain should ultimately reflect your values. Retirement is not the end of your authority. It's a time to reclaim it. To be thoughtful about your future while standing firmly in the present. Because once you let someone else steer your ship, it becomes harder and harder to turn it back around. Protect your right to decide. Speak clearly. Write things down, ask questions, and don't be afraid to say, I appreciate your concern, but I know what's right for me. That single sentence can preserve not just your autonomy, but your dignity. Final thoughts. This hick in retirement is a sacred chapter, hard-earned, deeply personal, and meant to be lived on your own terms, but too often in the name of love or loyalty. Older adults give away the very things that protect their peace, their money, their time, their homes, their boundaries. And the cost of that generosity isn't just financial, it's emotional, mental, and deeply personal. If today's video brought anything into focus, let it be this. You are allowed to love your children without sacrificing yourself. You are allowed to set boundaries without guilt. And you are absolutely allowed to protect what you've built. Not out of fear, but out of wisdom. The 7 things we talked about aren't about cutting off support. They're about offering support in ways that don't erode your foundation. They're about choosing a version of retirement where your needs aren't pushed to the bottom of the list, where your voice still matters, and where your final decades are led, not by obligation, but by clarity, courage, and care. So take a moment now to reflect which of these 7 areas feels most relevant to your life right now. Which one did you realize you've already been giving away? And which one do you feel ready to protect? Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share your support. Helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.